So it's definitely starting to look like Marvel Rivals is lighting a fire under Blizzard, because this is the third announcement in 3 days. January 31st, Director's Take. Hey everyone, it's the first Director's Take of the year. Team had a great break, and we're super excited for Season 15 and beyond. You might have noticed our recent announcement for Overwatch 2 Spotlight. That is the one for the live broadcast on the 12th that we talked about yesterday. Can't wait for you to see what's coming in the first few seasons of the year. So for this blog, I want to spend some time looking at some of the changes we made last year, talk about how they went. Okay, so are we actually going to get numbers from any of these tests? That would be nice. How we want to improve them for the coming year, while shamelessly plugging Overwatch 2 Spotlight. So they are putting everything into this video on the 12th. So that should be interesting. We started last year with a set of changes targeted at the moment-to-moment gameplay of our competitive systems. We made a set of broad changes to our core PvP gameplay and rebalancing our heroes' health pools, so that's all the Season 9 stuff. We also completely overhauled our competitive system. I don't know if I'd call that an overhaul. They basically just started giving descriptions at the end of the match on why you went up and why you went down, but very little of the actual process has changed as far as I know. We think that the idea of a yearly refresh to the game was successful and are looking forward to having a major update to the way it plays every year. However, we want to go even bigger in 2025. Details to come in the talking about the spotlight again. We are pretty happy with the new direction of competitive play. The game is now more approachable for new players, and it's easier than ever to group with your friends and play together in competitive. If that's talking about the wide groups, I actually just put out a short this morning on that, complaining about that, because the wide groups so far have been a very failed system. You basically have the longest queue times of any matches in the game just to have the worst balance. If they're going to leave wide groups as a thing, they need to consider putting crossplay in competitive and just treat it as a wide group, because there is currently not enough people doing wide group queues to warrant its own queue. And you can't tell me that letting a bronze player group with a top 500 is better balanced than letting a PlayStation gold player group with a PC gold player. I mean, that's insanity. But anyway, let's see what else they said here. This approach to doing a rank reset worked well and gave players both new and seasoned a new skill tier to reach. However, champion has proven a little bit too difficult to achieve. Has anybody even reached Champion 1 yet? I'm going to have to go look at that. As we approach Season 15, we're looking to adjust how players rank in different skill tiers after we reset the ranks again. Okay, so full rank reset here in a couple weeks. Our highest ranks will shift to include a larger percentage of our total player population, and we should see more players earn the right to call themselves champions. We're also looking at introducing some new systems to our competitive play, the first of which will be announced in a few weeks. That is scary, because I mentioned that yesterday reading the Defense Matrix, because they were talking about how the unranked GM videos are going to end up being a lot shorter because they're going to be working to move Smurfs up quicker. And now on top of that, highest ranks will shift to include a larger percentage. So that makes it sound like it's going to be way easier to move up through the metal ranks. And I don't want a repeat of what we had back when they first got rid of the rank decay, where you had bronze level players suddenly in high gold and low platinum, which that was some of the worst balanced games I've ever seen, even in quick play. So hopefully this doesn't turn out what I'm thinking it's going to, but this sounds like they're just going to be padding, well, not really padding, but just making it very easy to rank up through probably gold or platinum at least, if they're trying to push everybody higher. I mean, I get why they want more people in the higher ranks. The whole reason there's nobody in champion is there's nobody for the champion players to play against. Anyway, we're also looking to introduce some new systems to competitive, the first of which will be announced in a few weeks. We've heard two primary complaints about 2024's competitive weapon reward, the Jade weapons. One of the biggest criticisms we've heard is how the Jade weapon variants are getting vaulted at the end of this season. Competitive weapons are intended to show your involvement in our competitive queues per year. As time goes by, you will have different sets of weapons based on how often you play comp each year. Keeping competitive weapons limited to the year gives them the ability to tell that story. Some of you have been hoping for a weapon skin that has a higher end look to it, and we've got something for 2025 that is pretty spectacular. Okay, so while Jade weapons are going away for now, we're getting the amazing new weapon variant for 2025 that'll be out of this world. Previously, when the Jade first came out, they said next ones were going to be Sapphire and Ruby. I don't remember which one was going to be second and which one was going to be third, but does this mean they're changing that to something different, or that they're going to have two different types of unlockable weapon skins? That's kind of interesting. I'll have to wonder which way they're going to go with that. Additionally, we also love the response to for the response to drives. Has anybody actually cared about the drives? New heroes. The 3 heroes this past year have been some of our most mobile and 3-dimensional heroes yet. Who was the third one? Juno, Hazard. Was Venture from this year? Okay, yeah, Venture was from this year. It was just earlier in the year. Oh, yeah, very next one. I'm talking about Venture. Quite literally got underneath opponents and shook things up. Juno glided into the scene with a very unique vertical range to keep her allies healthy. Uh-oh. They keep yelling at us to use non-binary descriptions for Venture, and then they straight up say her. That's kind of funny. Anyway, I'm not bringing politics. Let's move on. Finally, Hazard brought a new level of anarchy as our first tank that can wall climb. Each of these heroes has introduced a new level of verticality that really makes battles more dynamic, and we want to continue bringing new heroes that can be engaging for both of those you use both what? Engaging for both those of you using them and the opponents playing against them. Looking ahead to 2025, we're looking into how we can make all of our heroes more engaging and unique for players. This is something the team is wanting to change up and look forward to sharing more. Again, this is every article they've put out this week is making it sound like skill trees, customizations, custom passives is the direction this is going. And here we go again. Unique ways to shake things up. Part of me really wants to put a bet on whether or not that's what the live broadcast is going to be on the 12th, is adding some kind of skill tree. We also ran our first 6v6 events last year and early this year. These took the form of 6v6 roll queue and 6v6 min 1 max 3. The roll queue version accounted for nearly 10% of all players playing the game for most of its event run. For reference, our roll queue quick play mode accounts for roughly 35 to 40% of play hours. This was lower during 6v6. There's definitely a demand for the mode with this team size, but it's still uncertain how large that demand is going to be. We're going to run a mini competitive season of 6v6 starting mid-season 15. That's great. I didn't even bother playing the 6v6 mode just because nobody was taking it serious, and the ones that were, there was nothing to grind for. As long as they put decent rewards into this mini season, this is probably going to be the most accurate test we have had out of any mode yet. So that is great news. Still a little early to say what we saw, to say what 6v6 place is in Overwatch with a decent amount of people playing it. I think it's probably here to stay in some form, but so far we're not ready to swap the core format of the game. Speaking of game modes, we want to take a moment on what to expect for Clash and Quick Play and Competitive. Okay, this past year we introduced Clash, which was inspired by the original Assault maps, but gave players a chance to attack and defend throughout the course of the match. Clash has had some really good matches, but we've also received a lot of constructive feedback. I wonder what that could be. I mean, even in Quick Play, it's to the point where most of the time we don't even try for that last point. We just let them have it and farm ult. I mean, it's very snowbally, I guess is the best description. Right now, Clash has a few problems, with some matches having a team steamroll and ending faster than a typical game. It can also be confusing as to which point is active. So starting in Season 15, Clash maps are going to be removed from competitive play. I almost never play comp, so that doesn't really matter to me, but there's going to be a lot of people happy about that. As we take time to look at these maps and work to find ways to deliver the best competitive experience for all of our players, we'll keep you updated on the progress we make there. In the meantime, we're going to keep Clash in quick play and other unranked game modes. I mean, that's fine. Honestly, I enjoy Clash. I can fully see why it does not have a place in competitive. Because, what's the nicest way to put it? I mean, it is competitive, but people take it way too far. And Clash is a game mode where one mistake can cost you can cost your team the entire game. So it is just way too much for normal people playing in competitive. In the meantime, we are going to keep. Oh, wait, I just read that. 2024 was a huge year, but I know 2025 is going to be even bigger, and I can't wait for the team to share more on the. There's the spotlight mentioned again. It was hard to write this one last time, I promise. Okay, so they know they're shoving that message down our throat, but that's a good thing. They almost never advertise ahead of time when they're going to drop something like this. Even the Devblog here, we didn't know it was coming. We didn't know the Defense Matrix update was dropping yesterday. We didn't know the announcement for Spotlight was coming the day before. So the fact that they have put out 3 different messages 3 days in a row, constantly slipping in that broadcast, there's no doubt that this is their plan to save the game, whatever's coming out. So I really hope they cooked on this one. But as far as on this blog, I might have to get with some of my friends who actually played 6v6 and get some tips if they're going to be doing a comp mode with rewards, because I want to give that a fair shot. I've only ever played Overwatch 2. I enjoy the 5v5, but I also understand the reasoning people keep giving as far as why they think 6v6 was better. So I want to give it a fair shot, and I really couldn't do that when it was only in quick play. The class changes are fine. Not really concerned about that. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Looking forward to the 12th.